So I want to give you guys here, take a few minutes, Jonas and Mike, and leave the floor to you here. I want to talk about your expectations for Wednesday. It's just kind of a final preview for everybody watching here. Kind of what your thoughts are. What are you thinking is going to happen Wednesday? What are you expecting to hear? I mean, let me put it this way. What do you want to hear? And what do you think you're going to hear? So, Jonas,
wow, that's perfect.
Mike, yeah.
Who wants to go first, Jonas? You or me?
You go first, Mike, because
all right,
you're a genius.
I'll go first. So here's what I want to hear as a Disney investor. And as people know, I've had a block of stock since I inherited it in the early 2000s. And of course, I've sometimes intelligently, mostly stupidly, bought some crappy prices along the way. But anyway, three things that I was looking for up as of last week. One, I was looking for an announcement related to what was going to happen with Comcast. I wanted to hear that the deal is done, the valuation price is settled, and the financing terms have been finalized, meaning that they were going to be able to say, we've agreed on a price of $10 billion for the third share. We're going to fund this with $3 billion in stock, and the rest is a convertible note, and it's being underwritten by Morgan Stanley. That's what I wanted to hear. Second thing I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear about Nelson Peltz getting, we like to take this opportunity to announce Nelson Peltz will be, have a board slot on the board of directors. I want to hear that it's 2 slots or 3 slots. I'll take one, but that's what I want to hear. The third thing I want to hear is Bob in the Disney Company owes me some damn dividends. I have not seen a dividend since November 2019. I think it was the last time. I got to check that. I need to check that, but something like that. And I don't know where my dividends are. And so does every other individual retail investor. And frankly, so does everyone that bought the stock and held the stock on. So those are the 3 things I was looking for. Now, I've already gotten my answer on one of those, which is that they released a BS, piece of crap, disingenuous, dishonest, and frankly, fraudulent PR release related to this Comcast Hulu deal, which was covered widely in the news this past week. What did they do? They announced that they were that we've decided to go ahead and buy this. No, you morons. You had a put call option. That put call clock started, and the time for you to make a move came, and you had to basically say that you were going to do it, or Comcast was going to put your 1/3 of Hulu percentage that you don't have up on the block, which it's legally entitled to do. So your best move was to desperately release a press release saying that you were going to do it. And what did they say? That they were going to adjust the price for some money that Comcast owes this joint venture, adjusted for what the final valuation would be, and the pricing could take as long as a year. So I already got a piece of crap answer on one front. As for whether or not Nelson's going to get any board seats, I think that he is behind the scenes trying to not make that happen and praying to God it doesn't happen. But the third thing has to do with, what was the third thing? Oh, the dividends. I think what he's going to do is do something very weaselly and similar to what he did earlier in the year, which is that when Peltz made a run for the company with proxy votes, Bob Iger told Peltz and told the world, he said in a statement that by the end of the year, we plan to declare, we plan to have a dividend for investors by year's end. Now, that sounds great, but again, with Disney and with Bob Iger specifically, we have to look beyond and through the lines of what's actually being said. Oh, shout out and thank you to Legal Mindset, who sent his viewers over to our stream. Shout out and welcome to everyone coming over from Legal Mindset. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Legal Mindset. And welcome everybody showing up. Anyway, so that's a very disingenuous thing to say, because he could have said that he would issue a dividend by the end of the fiscal year, which means that we should be getting an announcement this Wednesday. He could have said by the end of the calendar year. And so what I think he's going to do is he's going to declare a dividend, but not pay a dividend. Now, I could be wrong, but I think that's what he's going to do. He's probably going to declare victory and say cost-cutting measures have been successful this year. since it's going to go something like this. This is what I think it's going to go like. Since coming back to the Walt Disney Company, I implemented a variety of initiatives, and we're happy to announce at the close of this fiscal year that we've had an unbelievably amazing, successful year. This past year saw us post an incredible run.
Thank you,
as
Andrew.
we closed out the books on Avatar, which set records. We were able to implement a variety of cost-cutting strategies, achieving and exceeding the target that we set. And I'm pleased to announce that we're going to be announcing a dividend of 0.00000000000000 times 3 sub square root to the hypotenuse 0.00000000 divided by pi, multiplied again by the square root of the hypotenuse 0.00000000 of a dividend, and we will soon announce the schedule for the payment of that dividend.
Yeah, and let me talk about this real quickly, because, of course, people have been asking, oh, well, Disney stock has been going back up. Well, the whole market has been going back up. We're getting what we in the investment world kind of colloquially refer to as the Santa Claus effect. Usually the fourth quarter in the market is more often than not positive, meaning, third quarter usually tends to be kind of funky and volatile. Fourth quarter, we get towards the end of the year, there's usually a boost, especially because in America, we've got, big time Christmas holiday shopping seasons. Retail this is the biggest time of the year for retail. It brings everything up, right? And we've seen that all week long. And of course, the Walt Disney Company is one of 30 companies that represent the Dow Jones Industrial. So that biggest number here, now this is the futures. This really isn't giving us too much of a clue here, but I mean, that's what people look at. They look at the Dow Jones. Where's the Dow? The broad marketing index, of course, is the S&P 500. Both of these things have been up significantly. If I look here year to date, okay, and I pull this up, let me see if this will actually work for the S. Now it won't work for the S.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey guys, I've got like 10 minutes before I have to run.
Go for it.
But I just wanted to stop by and say hello to you guys. I'm really looking forward to this earnings call. Let me just say that.
Oh man.
Because one thing I just realized today doing my my little update was that in the case, especially in the federal case, there's actually a filing deadline of November 9th for the state of Florida to file any objections it has, or any other comments it has on one of the pending motions to dismiss. And so they've got this deadline of November 9th. So they've got the ability to drop a bombshell in court, drop a response that literally Iger will have to answer during the earnings call. So if they do a filing on the 8th, right before, they will have that. Also, in the state case, there is literally a hearing before the state judge going on during the earnings call.
Wow.
Oh,
I did not know this.
During the earnings call. Okay.
Oh, that's
so
beautiful.
there's so much potential.
Your Honor, can we start this hearing on Wednesday at 4 p.m. at the close of the court day?
No, they cannot. They cannot do that. They cannot do that. So there's so much potential for there to be just absolute bombshells dropped, last minute stuff that Iger can't react to, that he doesn't have time to plan the perfect response to. It should be fantastic. I do.
So in other words, we could
waking
have
up early for that
breaking legal news going on for Disney's court case
at the same time as
while the earnings call is going on. And
Oh my God!
Iger,
You know what?
Iger could be hearing about it from Ben Swinburne asking a question, going, "Hey Bob, what about this?" And he's like, "What?"
I mean, his answer would have to be, he would have to answer. I mean, to be honest, he would have to answer, "I'm not aware of that." Like that's the only way out he would have, would say, "I'm not aware of that," because otherwise, although I'm sure he is aware, he would get that George Bush, my pet goat moment where it's like, "Mr. President, the towers are under attack." It's like, "Mr. President, Mr. Iger, you've just lost in court." Oh, shit.
I have a feeling that Mr. Gutierrez, who is the chief legal counsel of the Walt Disney Company, is going to be sitting across the table.
He's going to be like this,
going,
He's like, don't. You know, because this is going to end up in another court document, and we've seen that with the TSG lawsuit, the lawsuits. They're quoting their statements in the earnings calls. They're quoting their public statements. So this is a potential to lead into other stuff. You know, whether it's going to be in a potential Corona lawsuit, whether it's something else, right? There's lots of stuff on the table right now in the legal world, which means content for decades for all of us.
Yeah,
Oh,
Jonas,
yeah.
thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Any final thoughts on what you're thinking about for Wednesday?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, this is the first earnings call since the carriage deal fallout with Spectrum. So they have just crumbled one of the largest, one of the few actually profitable segments of the company that should be more profitable than the parks until they destroyed it. The fact that they now are publicly admitting that ESPN has dropped 20% in revenue. They got to talk about that. I fully expect them to have no defense for some of this. We already know the parks are not doing well. That should be a cash cow for the company right now, and it is dying. And they're going to try to waive that $60 billion price tag of what they're going to be paying for the parks, but they're not going to spend it on any of the U.S. parks. And those U.S. parks right now, just the revenues, because they're not having gains in the U.S. parks. The revenue they're getting from those U.S. parks are all being sent overseas to try to grow these other parks that may be taken away from them. If you're talking about the Chinese park, can be taken away from them at any time if things go wrong, or if maybe China just doesn't like them very much.
Well, and don't forget the other stress point there, Jonas, is that those positive cash flows, the operating income from the parks, especially here in the U.S., are also being used to supplant and basically pay off the monthly bill from American Express, which is also known as the Disney Plus credit card. They're streaming for Disney. And as we've seen now with the recast numbers, just like we told you, the overwhelming majority of those losses are coming from D+. Hulu, by all accounts, is making money, although it's still split up with Comcast. We saw ESPN Plus, which used to be part of DTC until just a couple of weeks ago when they recast the last 12 months of financial data. ESPN Plus got pulled out. That DTC, it's now being reported with sports. They're maybe losing I think it was maybe a couple $100 million for the whole year that they lost on ESPN Plus. And it's because they don't have the subscribers yet. But I mean, Disney Plus is what's racking up the 12 to 15 billion in losses for the past 4 or 5 years.
And let's just point out that we still don't know who the ESPN partner is going to be. And it sounds like it's going to be Amazon, but
I'm still on Amazon.
That's the thing that they're going to be asked. They're also going to be asked, hey, who in the world is buying ABC? There are so many questions to be answered on this, and I don't know how much of it they're going to volunteer. The more they
some
volunteer,
of it they legally can't,
Right. It's a good point.
Yep. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.